Dear Mr. President, dear members of the delegation, dear representatives of the media, I would like to extend my warmest greetings to all of you. I am honored to welcome Mr. Zelensky back to our country. As you may recall, we have already met twice this year. In addition to bilateral relations, we also exchanged views on resolving the war in Ukraine. In fact, immediately after the president's last visit in May, our country hosted talks between Ukrainian and Russian delegations, the first in more than 3 years. During those 3 rounds of negotiations, we achieved some progress, particularly on humanitarian issues. Moreover, the parties were able to directly discuss the ceasefire, peace, and other military matters. We consider these steps valuable accomplishments. During today's meeting, I also emphasized the importance of continuing the Istanbul process with a pragmatic and result-oriented approach. I noted that, especially now, when the consequences of the war on both sides continue to worsen, the Istanbul talks, in our view, became a critical phase in the broader diplomatic efforts to resolve the conflict. In particular, the intensifying attacks on energy infrastructure and the corresponding human losses are causing irreversible damage to both sides. We believe it is necessary to resume the Istanbul process with an expanded scope and a focus on resolving the increasingly critical issues. We also expect constructive support from all our partners in the region who genuinely wish to stop the bloodshed and help move forward the Istanbul negotiation process. Dear members of the press, during today's talks with my dear friend President Zelensky, we also addressed bilateral issues. Once again, we reaffirmed our commitment to the territorial integrity, sovereignty, and independence of our strategic partner, Ukraine. In this context, I would also like to emphasize that our support for the Crimean Tatars, a unique historical and cultural bridge between Ukraine and Turkey, will continue. Despite the hardships of the war, we aim to increase the volume of bilateral trade to $10 billion. We intend to support Ukraine's reconstruction through the continued engagement of Turkish companies, which, despite difficult conditions, have remained in the country and bravely continue their work. At the same time, as Turkey, we are always ready to engage in dialogue with Russia to help accelerate the ceasefire and pave the way toward a just and lasting peace. In this regard, we also value the involvement of our ally, the United States, in this process. In conclusion, I once again extend my condolences to the friendly people of Ukraine for the losses suffered due to the war. I now give the floor to the President for his remarks. It was a very productive and constructive meeting with President Erdogan. We deeply value the trust between Ukraine and Turkey, between our countries and our peoples. I would like to thank the President for our regular meetings, which continue to draw the attention of the Turkish people. This is indeed not our first meeting this year, and I sincerely thank you for that, Mr. President. For Ukraine, Turkey's principled stance on Russia's war against our people and our state is very important. I am grateful for your cooperation, which helps us protect lives, and for Turkey's clear position on all key aspects of this tragedy and aggression. Turkey supports Ukraine's independence. We are thankful for your support of our territorial integrity and sovereignty. Our sovereignty is upheld every day by Ukrainians, soldiers, civilians, everyone who fights for our right to live freely in Ukraine. It is our right to self-defense. Last night, the whole world once again witnessed the horror of this war and Russia's aggression. There was another strike on our cities. Russian drones and missiles struck residential buildings. In just one city, Ternopil, more than 24 people were killed in the strike. These were people who were simply at home, sleeping peacefully. As of now, we know that 25 people have died, including 2 children. We feel this loss as if they were our own family. Thank you, Mr. President, for your sympathy. Rescue operations are still underway. Sadly, it is possible that more people remain trapped under the rubble. Our emergency responders are doing everything they can. There were also strikes on Kharkiv and other cities. In total, today's Russian attack involved 48 missiles and 476 strike drones. This is a brutal war. We in Ukraine are forced to constantly defend ourselves against such attacks. We are actively working to secure the missiles and air defense systems we need to protect our skies. It's a major challenge, but we are doing everything possible to meet it. We need weapons, we need equipment, and we need air defense systems for our defenders in the sky. This is a daily effort. And I want to thank everyone around the world who is helping Ukraine defend itself. I also thank Turkey for the work we are doing together. Today, we discussed further cooperation with the President, joint production projects, coordination for more effective protection of lives. Our teams will begin work on the agreements reached today. Let's see the results. Of course, we also discussed the diplomatic landscape. Many processes are now underway, and we are working to ensure that all efforts are focused on achieving peace, a just peace, and guaranteed security. The war must end. There is no alternative to peace. Russia must understand that war, killing, and destruction must not be rewarded. It must be made clear that Russia cannot be allowed to launch another similar war against Ukraine or any other country in the region. And on this, we see eye to eye with Turkey. Peace and security must be guaranteed. Security guarantees are extremely important. We will continue to work closely with all of our partners. I am grateful that Turkey is helping. Thank you again, President Erdogan. We count on the strength of Turkish diplomacy and its understanding of the situation in Moscow. It is important to involve Turkey actively in the coalition of volunteers, particularly in its maritime dimension. Everyone understands the importance of Black Sea security. And such security can only be ensured together with Turkey. We are working hard to resume prisoner exchanges, to bring back Ukrainian military personnel and civilians, including Crimean Tatars, and Russia's political and religious prisoners. Of course, we are also working to return our abducted Ukrainian children. We have children in Turkey. We thank you for helping us bring our children home. We hope to resume prisoner exchanges before the end of the year. Turkey has been very helpful in this area. Mr. President, I want to thank you personally for the meetings and for the outcomes of our discussions on the Turkish front. Thanks to these efforts, 2,500 of our prisoners of war have already either returned or are on the path home. We must speed up these efforts. We must intensify our diplomatic work. Thank you, Mr. President.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.